Welcome to the Practicing Accountant Podcast, your go-to resource for transforming your accounting practice. This podcast is for accountants ready to take control of their business and build their ideal practice by mastering the essentials, setting the right prices, defining a powerful niche, and selling with ease. We'll dive into strategies that boost profits, attract your ideal clients, elevate your services, and help you choose the most effective pricing models. We are champions for efficiency, value, and intentionality, and adversaries of people-pleasing, bad clients, and complacency. We provide actionable strategies to help you break the hamster wheel of typical accounting work. The mission of the Practicing Accountant Podcast is simple: to enhance your experience as an entrepreneurial accountant and help you turn neglected practices into a thriving business. So, if you're ready to level up your practice, this podcast is for you. Tune in and let's get to work.
So there's a woman in Alaska, University of Alaska, of all places, who her name is Amy Cooper, Amy Cooper. And she did a study on how to create better retention within accounting firms. And she studied the concept of job embeddedness, which is, how sticky is an employee to a firm.
Okay.
And so it doesn't matter if it's a big one or a little one, just how sticky are the employees. And she came up with a couple of factors to measure job embeddedness. The first one is links. And that means, how strong are the relationships within the firm? Are people supporting each other? Are they sharing things from their personal life or creating space for people in their personal lives? Do they have good relationship with the community they're in? Are they contributing to the community they're in? So links is a big factor. The second one was fit, and does the employee share either values or goals or culture preferences with the firm? And the more that they share, the stickier they are. And then the third thing was scarcity, which is just how special is the experience at the firm. Mm-hmm. So much so that the employee might be afraid to leave because they wouldn't have something that they had. So it could be compensation, it could be benefits, it could be experience, it could be perks, it could be types of clients. Like, what are you creating that really keeps that employee from wanting to leave and go somewhere else because they would be scared to lose what they have? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And I've used it in since I've learned about it a few times. Then I started thinking, it'd be even cooler concept to think about, especially when we're talking to our audience, is client embeddedness. How embedded are our clients with us? How strong is our relationship with them? We think about links. Are we seeing them outside of compliance season? Are we talking to them about other things in their business? Are they seeking us for advice and counsel on things unrelated to bookkeeping or accounting or taxes? And also, how are they seeing us in the community? So, that would be links. And then fit, are we sharing goals with our clients? Like, do we even know what our clients' goals are financially? Do we understand how we fit and support them in that? Do we align with them and how they perform their business? When it comes to making a list of clients you'll fire, likely there's going to be clients on that list that you don't share values with. Mm-hmm. They don't appreciate something the way you do. They don't value something the way you do. So, the more that you fit with your clients, the stronger that relationship will be in embeddedness. And the third thing, how scared is your client of leaving you? Are they looking at you saying, well, I can't get this service anywhere else? Or are they looking at you saying, well, I can get this anywhere? Do I get this benefit, or do I get this advisory? Do I get this, whatever it is you provide to them in service or product that they can't get anywhere else?
Go
ahead.
Sorry, those are all, that's pricing power. Yeah, right. Pricing power is the ability to raise your prices without losing clients, which is stickiness, switching costs. Mm-hmm. How do you make it hard for a client to switch? I mean, you don't want to make it hard, but you want to make it a hard decision because they're getting such good value from you, and these things are attributes of that.
Well, you want them to think about it in kind of this way, like, well, I've got a pretty strong relationship with them. We share the goals of, whatever it is. And you know what? I couldn't find what they give me anywhere else. So yeah, that would give you some pricing power, which, doesn't mean you should abuse it and gouge them because you've got that, because then they would look at scarcity and say, well, I like these perks, but they're not worth the price.
Sure.
But there's a balance there, but it does give you pricing power when you are building those things intentionally. So anyway, I think that's something that we may incorporate further in what you and I do and things in the future. But it was funny because I was talking to a like a service area lead in a big firm, and she was having trouble with client service in her big firm, and she said something that triggered me, and I was like, oh my gosh, let's just make something up right now. We made up client embeddedness and completely stole from Dr. Amy Cooper, but just changed a word and changed the who we were talking about. So instead of
Dr.
employees,
Cooper.
yeah, right. So I made a mistake once before where I said something from someone else's mouth and took it as my own. So I always give credit now whenever I can.
Fair. Real quick before we move on, the client or the employee embeddedness. Number one, the links, that's really hard to do in a remote firm. But the scarcity piece, that's better for remote firms because it's hard to find a true remote job. So I don't know which one holds more power.
Becoming harder too, right?
Right. Yeah.
The firms that are offering the fully remote positions still, even during this, return to the office RTO push that's going on right now. But the ones that are standing strong on that's the scarcity. Like,
yep.
If I leave here, I'm going to have to go back to an office. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's a good
point.
If you are remote, that's a great piece of leverage that you have to hold on to employees right now, especially good ones.
Big time.
Yep.
But that aside, you ran a poll. Tell us about our poll.
Yeah. So we ran a Facebook poll. The prompt was, if you had to pick one lever to pull to improve your firm or the experience of owning your firm, which would you choose? And the options were to get more clients, to increase prices, to improve efficiency, to cut costs, or to hire the right person.
And drum roll, what was number one?
Number one was get more clients. Shocking. Not surprised by that one. Number two was, well, let me back up. Get more clients was 37%. Number two was improve efficiency at 33%. Number three was increase prices at 20%. Number four was hire the right person at 6%. And in last place was cutting costs at 4%. But I would argue that improving efficiency is an effort to cut costs, right?
Possibly. I think you could also look at it as they are just wanting to work less.
Sure. Okay. Improve capacity for
find ways to do more in less time. I would equate that to efficiency too.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
But it is interesting though. The question you ask is, to improve the firm or the experience of owning the firm. The number one answer was get more clients.
I know.
Like I wouldn't have guessed that.
I intentionally threw the experience of owning your firm in there to try to pull people away from getting more clients.
Didn't work.
Not very well.
It didn't work. You tried to lead them into, being a little bit more creative with their normal responses, and instead got the same thing that you normally. But why is that? Like, why do you think getting more clients was number one?
I think it's just this adoption of growth for growth's sake. This revenue number that everybody is obsessed with. I own a $2 million firm. I own a $200,000 firm. Whatever it is, everything is so tied to this revenue goal that is totally arbitrary. It means nothing, unless you want to sound like you own a really big company when you still make a teeny tiny profit. I don't know what the push for that is.
I read that as I want to make more money. And the only lever that they really have to pull to make more money is to get more clients.
Mm-hmm. So they
and
think.
so I, what's that?
So they think.
So they think, right.
Mm-hmm.
And what they might be doing is just causing other problems to their experience. That wasn't one of the options about, working less, but maybe implied with improving efficiencies. So let's just pretend for a second the number one response, and I'm taking a leap here, but the number one response to improving the firm or the experience of owning it is to make more money.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that too far of a stretch?
I think that's the goal of business, and I think these people think the best way to achieve that goal is to get more clients.
Yeah.
Increasing
Yeah,
pricing, increase prices is also a make more money lever to pull.
Mm-hmm. Sure. It wasn't number one, though.
No.
So, getting more clients being number one. We've talked on this show before, and we'll talk again about it. But I think there's a way to improve the experience, improve the firm, and get more clients, and increase prices, and improve efficiency. And I think it boils down to, in part, part of your message always has been, pricing power and achieving it. And I think there's no scarcity of clients. Like, that's the thing that kind of disrupts me here, or causes me just a little bit of a pause, is, as my understanding is, and just having worked with the clients I have and have my ear to the industry as I have, like, there's no lack of clients. So where are they going? If they're not going to you, where are they going? Like, what are they seeing or doing, those potential clients, that are causing them to overlook you? And is it a marketing issue? Is it a branding issue? Is it an awareness issue? Is it a you issue?
I think it's a just not understanding some business basics of where to market and do business development. I mean, everybody is stuck in this. Well, not everybody. It seems like half the firms need more clients. Half the firms have way too many clients. And maybe that's where all those people are, or the firms with way too many clients that are charging too low a fee.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, the easiest way for a bookkeeper or a CPA or a tax preparer or an EA or whatever you are, one of the easiest ways to get more clients is to network with others like you.
Yeah.
Simple. Reach out to look like in a 10-mile radius, and look at how many firms or bookkeepers or small businesses like you are in the 10-mile radius, and buy them a beer or lunch or breakfast. Introduce yourself and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to grow my book of business. I'm trying to get more clients. You seem to be pretty successful at it, regardless of whether they are or not. And I would love if some work lands in your pipeline that either you can't serve or aren't interested in serving for whatever reason. I'd love a referral. Done.
Yeah.
Like, I had a client, not this past year, but the season before, that like doubled, and just by doing that. And now she worked her ass off, but
now, was she a generalist?
No. Well, she was a bookkeeper. She did some tax, and she was trying to get more into like the virtual CFO stuff, the part-time CFO stuff.
So there's a prerequisite to that conversation with the firms in your 10-mile radius. You cannot go in as a direct competitor. You have to have a little bit of a different offering than they do. You can't both be generalists going into this conversation. I mean, you could. It might work. But
yeah, I've challenged that you can't. There may be a better way, right?
Sure. The better way is to not be a generalist, to be a specialist. Let's say, I mean, this is what we do. We go to CPA firms that we know are over capacity, and we know that they can't keep up with all the bookkeeping, particularly in tax season. So we go to them and say, we only do bookkeeping. We'll take this off your hands. You can continue to do the tax and advisory and CFO, whatever you want to do, but we'll take the bookkeeping. But that's a great offer for them. And about half of them take me up on it. Right. If I went to them saying, I'm also a tax and bookkeeping and tax planning and CFO company. Can I have some of your clients? Well, clearly no, because they'd be afraid that those clients would just switch all of their services to me if I provided a better service.
Sure. Yeah. So some caveats on it.
Mm-hmm.
But going to them with a niche to say that I specialize in this and this is where my expertise is, and if you get any new clients that you're not interested in serving, especially in this niche, I'd really like a referral, or a service. There's a service that I provide that I don't think you provide that I'd love to be able to talk to you about providing this to your clients, and there's something you do that I don't do that I can allow you to access my clients with. But if you start with just folks like you with a good pitch, or just a make sense pitch, like you're gonna at least get a client out of it. Like I would bet $1,000 right now, which I don't have on me, but if I had on me $1,000 right now, I would bet $1,000 right now that if you went to let's say 3 other firms like yours with a good pitch around what you do, what they don't do, what you don't do, and started talking to them and connecting with them and creating some regular conversations, I'd bet you'd have a new client within 3 months, if not more. And I'm being conservative because I put money on the line now, so I'm hedging my bet by saying that. I really believe you'd have a lot of new clients out of it. You both would, I think, because it doubles your chances of finding good fitting clients or not. And that's positive. And if you spread that around to a number of folks, next thing you know, you got a network of folks that are all serving each other, passing work along. And something you and I hope to have someday too is, the ability to connect these accountants and CPAs so that they can share in the work that they're doing or they don't do. So I'd say, on the get more clients, there are some easy fixes like that. Networking is going to be my go-to number 2. And I know that we're, for some folks in a busy time of year, getting out of season. And so there's going to be a hangover, usually the latter half of April. And then once you get to May, you have a decision. You can either coast through May and basically, unfortunately probably bill a lot of the whip that's sitting there, or decide which clients you're going to fire, or start networking. Start talking to folks that are in the industry you're trying to grow, or the services you're trying to grow, and share what you're doing. And most importantly, ask. Like I always get caught a little bit like on how goofy it is to have to remind accountants about asking. Like they network, they have a lunch, they talk about each other's business, and then they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And they get in their car and they drive back to their office and they pat themselves on the back for doing some networking and they feel better. But if there wasn't an ask, then you really didn't do much except meet someone.
Right.
But to actually say, listen, it would be a huge favor if a client that comes along that's in whatever, I'm trying to grow my business and serving that type of a client. And if you could think of 2 or 3 names, or if you just hear of someone looking that's in around this type of a profile, I'd love if you gave me a referral.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love if I followed up with you in a couple of weeks. If you had a couple of names, I'd love if you shared them or created an email introduction or something. Like the ask is so important and so easily forgotten. We leave a meeting and we were like, oh shit, I forgot to ask. It's like, then there's a piece of you that's like, well, good, I didn't have to be vulnerable. But it's bullshit. Like you've got to have the ask. And I'm not talking about like someone you just met and 10 minutes later you're asking them for a referral.
Right.
But maybe it's someone you've met once or twice already, and it's time. It's not, you don't do networking so you're trying to find people to invite to your barbecue party this summer. You're doing it so that you can find business. And they know that. You know that. But for whatever reason, it becomes a vogue topic in certain moments. Or a not vogue conversation. And it needs to be vogue.
Yeah. I think, I can't remember where I heard this, but the term or the phrase is dig your well before you're thirsty. And accountants are notoriously bad at networking, marketing. Not all of them, of course, but as a rule of thumb, this industry is probably the worst at marketing because the work just comes in. It's just it's a regulatory required business that people have to interact with. So they like to rest on that fact, and so they don't do any networking. They don't do any marketing. They wait for the referrals to come in, and that's a great way to grow your business if you have enough clients and you're serving well enough.
Well, I think it might be. This is definitely making an assumption, but you might make an assumption that 37% of the folks that responded to this poll are thirsty before they dug a well.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're responding with, really this is their thirst for more revenue, more clients, more income, more take home. And they should, that's why you always have to have that dial, that business development dial set at above a 0.
Yep.
You've always got to be spending some time each week in some form or fashion, doing some level of business development, or else you find yourself in this thirsty spot where you've either got capacity or you're not making ends meet, and have to face some tough decisions.
Yep.
And so thinking of ways of, what does it mean to build your well, talking to other CPA firms, building your network and using your network. And then, there's a long list of other things that can be done: marketing, advertising, being seen, speaking, blogging, posting, connecting, LinkedIning, a lot of things that follow that. But I would encourage those 37% to really kind of step back and say, what does that mean to them?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean they're wanting more income? Does that mean they're wanting to be busier? Does that mean they're just trying to build into a bigger firm? What does getting more clients mean to them, to make sure that that's what's most important? And if so, then start building the well.
Yep. And there could be a bias built into this. This could be a lot of brand new firm owners responding to this. I don't know what the demographic is. They're all firm owners, but I don't know what the demographic is of that. So that high number makes more sense if they're all brand new, which we know that you do have to chase more clients when you're brand new. But if they're more established, then increasing prices is a much better lever to pull.
Yeah, right. But the second one was improve efficiency, which, you and I both not quite sure what to make of that, whether that's they're trying to cut costs, which there's so much margin in professional service businesses,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you're not paying for a warehouse,
Right.
You're not paying for machinery. You're not paying for rentals of equipment. You're not paying for materials. There's no cost of goods sold. The only thing you're paying for is your rent, your insurance, your office shit, and then every once in a while you have to buy a new computer.
Yep.
And then
unless
you got your payroll
unless you have payroll, yep.
Right. But again, I mean, there's only so much room that you can actually create there. But margins in professional services are always going to be great unless your leverage model is screwed up, or you're just wasting your resources and not utilizing them. So I think on the efficiency side, because you and I both know accountants and EAs and tax folks love their software, and they love to talk about it and brag about what new thing they tried this week and what is the flavor of the month of organizing your engagement, or of streamlining your to-do list, or of connecting your Firefly AI to your Outlook calendar, to whatever. Those are all great. But the thing that I, and you're gonna laugh at me here because I'm gonna do what you probably think I'm gonna do. The thing with efficiency is, like, so much of what is currently being done by bookkeepers, by tax preparers, by EAs is going to be automated within months. May not be available to them in a form that they can use easily, but it will be here. And so the efficiency is just going to continue to improve naturally through artificial intelligence, that hopefully we'd see that drop to a different priority in your poll next time we ran this a year from now. But
yeah, because I think in this poll, they're might be talking about workflows, things like that. That's going to pale in comparison to what AI is going to do for efficiency.
They won't care about the workflow because it's all done so fast.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's 15 steps in there they didn't need to do.
Right.
It still gets done in the same amount of time.
Yep.
So and it gets done on the weekends when you're on the beach or on your back porch. It's still running while you're gone and enjoying yourself.
That's right.
But I think on the efficiency side, I think every year there should be an analysis of, what software worked, where did we have efficiency, where did we not have efficiency. More importantly, what do we need to change going forward? If it's workflow, great. If it's systems, awesome. If it's too many people or too few people, great. I think it's a great time of year to be doing an assessment of the start, stop, continue. What do we do that what did we start doing this year we want to keep doing? What do we continue doing? What do we need to start doing that we haven't done? And what do we need to stop doing that we are doing that's wasting time?
Yep.
So I think that analysis will help with that 33%.
And maybe there's some people out there that are still running around with a manila folder with a control sheet on top, taking it office to office, that maybe might consider the efficiency improvement.
They're out there. They're all trying to get out right now, though.
Yeah.
They're all trying to find someone to buy their firm.
Hopefully.
There's another way to get more clients is just to go buy them.
That's right.
The increasing prices I'm not even going to touch 4 and 5, but because they're so low, but increasing prices was 20%, which I think would you have guessed that would have been number one?
I would have guessed that would have been number 2.
Instead of efficiency?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes sense too, because they're so close, 37 and 33. The increasing prices thing, like, there's 2 critical things I think that a firm needs to be focused on going into this spring, summer, and next busy season, which I know I don't need to be talking about it, but there's only 365 more days till next deadline, right? Or next big deadline at least.
Yep.
370. But now is the time to, 1, start considering additional or different pricing models.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, becoming either niche focused or advisory focused with your clients. Because I think with the efficiencies and with the ability for more CPAs to do more work from those efficiencies, there's going to be more competition for clients unless everyone is moving into a more of a value-based or at least subscription-based pricing model.
Yep.
Where they're providing value, not hours, to their clients. And when they talk about pricing this summer, it's not about how long it took to do the work that the clients are paying for, but the value that the clients receive that they're paying for.
Yep.
So I think that's the first thing on increasing prices that needs to be done. And the second thing, just being more of that advisory niche focus, which, one of your favorite things, the pricing power that comes from that allows CPAs, EAs, bookkeepers to charge more than the generalist because of their expertise and because of their experience, because of the services they provide that are distinct and specific to that industry.
Yep.
So I have to run another poll and maybe just keep playing with the words until we get the answers we expect, right?
That's right. We'll just manipulate them or
right?
keep teaching them until they want to increase their prices first.
Mm-hmm. Right. And just keep leading them. That's right. Well, thanks for watching or listening to another episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast. Very happy that you're here, and we hope that you share and like this episode so that others can partake in this. And if you're a first-time listener, just keep listening. We'll have some news coming up in next week or 2 in which we announce something that we're doing that we're pretty excited about and want to share with you. And also would want you to share that with your network as well. So thank you very much for watching this episode of the Practicing Accountant podcast, and cheers.
Thanks, dude. See ya.
See ya.